Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking everything quarter one. So any kind of recap, statistic, goal, I feel like discussing from January through March of 2026, as long as it relates to books, we're chatting about it today. And we're gonna start on a very positive note with my 5-star reads so far this year. There are 6 of them, and those books are the following: Pictures of You by Emma Gray, If It Makes You Happy by Julie Olivia, Red City by Marie Lu, Half City by Kate Golden, This Story Might Save Your Life by Tiffany Crum, and then And Now Back to You by B.K. Borison. And if I had to pick a favorite from this top list of mine, it would definitely be And Now Back to You by B.K. Borison. There is something so special about this book. There is something so special about First Time Caller, but now this book just exceeded every expectation I had for the continuation of this series, and I am so sad for the next one. I loved this one so much. If you want to hear me talk about my worst books of the year, that's going to be at the end of the video, so you have to stay tuned. Next up, let's talk about my Romantasy and my Thriller Mystery Bingo. Romantasy Bingo is hosted and created by Covers with Cassidy, and then Mystery Thriller Bingo is created and hosted by Alexis Fully Booked. I will leave both of their channels down below so you can go check them out if you want to, but I am not as far in either of these challenges as I wanted to be, and that is because even though I love both of these genres, a different genre has taken over for first place this year, and we'll talk about why in a second. But Romantasy Bingo, I have read 6 books out of 25 books, which puts me a little over 20%. I wish I was doing better. This I thought was going to be my #1 genre of the year, and I am just very behind, and I don't know why. We're going to fix that. Also, I'm going to include my dystopian romance books in this bingo. I don't know if that's allowed or not, but it feels appropriate to me. So the sequel to Silver Elite will be on here, To Cage a Wild Bird will be on here, some other books that I have, up my sleeve. I'm going to put them on my Romantasy board. Even though I feel like dystopian is slightly a different genre, I feel like the merge is still appropriate, And then for Mystery Thriller Bingo, I have read 5 books out of 25, which puts me at exactly 20%. This, I think, should fill up, especially once we get to summertime and we have got Summerween. I could not remember the name of that readathon for some reason. I read a lot of thrillers in the summer, and I am still very much in a thriller mood. I have loved a lot of the thrillers that I've read this year, and so even though I feel behind, I think that it's going to be very easy to catch up. Normally, I'd have to look down at my computer to talk about my average ratings, but for the first time, I think ever, I have had the same average rating every single month of the year. In January, I read 7 books with an average rating of 4.1. In February, I read 8 books with an average rating of 4.1. And then in March, I read 9 books. This was ROMANTASY, so numbers are a little bit higher, with an average rating of 4.1, meaning my rating for the year so far is a 4.1. And I am going to be so angry if books come along to ruin this streak. I can't expect 4.1 for the whole year, but I mean, that's a pretty high rating. I'd love to keep it there. I've had a lot of 4-star reads this year, so that explains the minimum is pretty high. Anyway, we could talk about stats and numbers all day. I'm a math teacher. I love this kind of stuff, but we have more things to talk about. As far as my goals for the year, my goal this year was to be gentle with myself. And so instead of setting a goal 75 or higher like I typically do, I only set my goal for 52 books. That's 1 book a week. Some weeks if I don't read, that's great. Some weeks if I read 4 books in a week, that's great too. And right now I am 48% of the way through my goal of 52. I have read 24 books so far this year, and I think that that is solid. I also wanted to read more books from my book boxes, and so far I have read 8 books from either Allurial or Book of the Month. There we are. Continuing series. I am doing very, very badly at this. I have technically finished a series and started the same series this year, but that was the Improbable Meet Cute Second Chances from Amazon. I did read the first 5 books. I DNF'd the last one, they're short stories. And I don't know, I feel kind of like I'm cheating a little bit saying that I started and finished a series this year when it's all short stories, but I did, and I'm counting it. I have continued 1 series, which is the Heartstrings series with First Time Caller, and then And Now Back to You. And then I have started 8 series in addition to all of the other series that I have started. So we're gonna have to find a quarter this year that is just the series catch-up quarter. I don't know when that's going to be yet, but it has to happen because I'm going to dig myself into a hole I can't get out of. And then my other main goal was to crochet a granny square for every single book that I read this year so that I can put them together in a blanket at the end of the year. And I'm a little bit behind. I have crocheted 18 out of the 24 that I need to crochet. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, these were for Improbable Meet Cute books, Fear the Flames, It's Not Her, We Who Will Die, Her Last Breath, The Bodyguard, My Husband's Wife. So like I've made a whole bunch of them, but I do need to catch up, specifically on like the second half of my March reads. That's not hard. This is something I can do very mindlessly while listening to audiobooks, but I'm just behind. Sometimes when my brain is full of stress, see how stressed I get talking about stress? My gosh. Sometimes when it's just like cloudy up there, I don't want to crochet and I just want to sit in silence and stare at the wall. It happens to all of us, right? Anyway, that's not going to be very hard to catch up on, so I'm not mad about that. Goals going forward in the rest of the year, I want to continue continuing series. I need to stop starting new ones. Although like some of these, like Red City, I don't have the next book anytime soon. Fear the Flames, I can go ahead and continue. Dungeon Crawler Carl, I'm ready to continue. I just need to make it a priority. I want to keep reading books I own. The top tier and the second tier of this are books I've already read, but the bottom two tiers of this little shelf are all unread books, and I would like to see that dwindle down by the end of summer. I would like to have very few unread books by that time, so that's going to take some serious prioritizing on my part. I want to keep reading the books from my book boxes. I love a book box. Okay, it's just something about me. The day that new books for book boxes are released, I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I getting? What is everybody getting? Let's all run to Discord and let's talk about what we're getting. I'm so excited. But then I need to read them. Like, this wasn't even on my radar, but I got it because it was the Lolly winner. I don't know when I have plans to read this, so I need to make my book box books a priority, for real. I obviously need to catch up on my blanket and then stay consistent with it once I've caught up. I wanted to crochet it as I went, so like I would have a fourth of my blanket made by now, but I fell behind on that because I didn't like the way I was joining the squares, so I need to start over. Not with making the squares, just I need to unjoin the ones I already joined and then put them back together. That way I'm not stressed, there's that word again, at the end of the year. And then I want to get very intentional about my bingos. I might have a couple of vlogs where I am just completely devoted to catching up on my romantasy bingo and then catching up on my mystery thriller bingo. I think that would be fun to watch, but I also think it would be a challenge for me to intentionally catch up and read books that I think I'm going to love that could fit on the bingo boards. Some other stats that are just interesting to share. My genre breakdown is something. So far this year, my lowest read genres are sci-fi with one book, contemporary with one book, fantasy, horror, and mystery, all with one book each. My next lowest, which is my second highest, is thriller. I've read 4 books with 20% of my total reads, and then I've read 11 romance books this year for 55% of my reads. Now, granted, that is a little bit inflated, and I feel kind of guilty even saying that because 5 of those books are from the Improbable Meet Cute Second Chance edition, which they were all, I don't know, under 150 pages. So they're still books, they still count, but the short stories are definitely like boosting that number a little bit. But that still means that romance would be my highest read genre, even if we took those away, because I would have read 6 books in that genre. I'm sorry, I left out romantasy. Where is romantasy? It's not showing up on my graph. I've also read 4 romantasy books. So thriller and romantasy are tied. That makes more sense. And my most read author this year has been Julie Soto. Every other author I've read this year, I have only read 1 book from. I've read 1 full-length novel from Julie Soto, which is Forget Me Not, and then I also read her short story in that collection. And I am just in the middle of too many series. I don't even want to look at that anymore. I've only DNF'd 1 book, which was Valentine's Sleigh by Nevessa Allen. This was the final book in that series, and I just didn't like it. Here is my book bracket for the year so far. Obviously, there's not very much on here because this is the first quarter. So I only have had 2 books go head-to-head and then 1 book in March. So we'll have to see how this book bracket continues throughout the rest of the year. But so far, very interesting. And it was also very hard to choose between If It Makes You Happy and Red City because I loved both of those so much, but I really, really, really love Dread City. And then I have read 13 books published in 2026. The rest of the books have all been from the 2020s, but mostly they've been recent books. I've also read 8 books by authors I've read from before, and I have read 16 books from authors that have been new to me, and I think that that is very exciting. My lowest rated books, we'll talk about this, and then I'm going to show you a graphic of every book I've read this year, because I don't want to sit here and talk about every book I've read this year. A lot of them are in the middle for a reason, but I will show you the graphic. My lowest rated books of the year: Fear the Flames by Olivia Rose Darling, which you can see right here; Accidentally Yours, which was the Christina Lauren short story; and then Riftborn by Greenwich and Lennox. These were all 3-star books, and I don't think a 3-star book is a bad book, but it's a book I don't think about. Like, I haven't thought about any of those books at all until I sat down and looked at my spreadsheet. But then my lowest book of the year, besides my DNF, my lowest book of the year was Death to Valentine's Day by Catherine Cowles. This was one of the Improbable Meet Cute books. This is my 3rd Catherine Cowles book, and I have not liked any of them yet. I'm not giving up hope because so many people love Miss Catherine, but I have not found a book I've enjoyed by her yet, and that's on me. I'm so happy that so many people love her. I just have not found the one that clicks in my head yet. And then I told you I would show you the graphic of all of the books I've read this year. 24 is not hard to look through, so I'll leave this up for a few minutes. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye, guys.